Are you enjoying it? Yeah! That's what I'd expected. With a lot more people, so you did really good. Alright. Maybe it's the exact 5 o'clock that is when I'm going to start. Alright, fine. I get you. I'm standing, and I'm doing it upright. Here's my question. Why do they always have stools that stand up? They're not going to sit. Ever. Anyway. So, everybody, welcome to Duelist Academy. Alright, now it's time to play everybody's favorite game, Joe. It's called Guess That. If you would move that type. Come on, guys. You're supposed to join me. Alright, so it's Guess That Type. Alright, everybody knows how Guess That Type works, but for the people who don't know, I'm going to explain. Guess That Type is I'm going to show a Yu-Gi-Oh card, a wall, with its picture and its name. I want you to guess out of the 4 which one it is. I'll take votes from the hands, and so everybody keep track of your own score. There are going to be 3 rounds, remember that. So we have the starting round with Neospatian Grand Mole. So take a look at that nice little guy, and is that a machine, a dinosaur, a psychic type, or a rock? All in favor of thinking it is a machine type, raise your hand. Okay, all of you who think it's a dinosaur. All of you who think it's a psychic. All of you who think it's a rock. Okay, so let's go through that. Machine. Well, you would think that with the whole drill thing, but it's not. You would think it's a dinosaur, then you would be clearly wrong. I don't want fewer steps. I don't care about that. We're playing games in psychic types. Those weren't even invented by the time this was printed. So, this is a rock. A fuzzy, drilly rock. Okay, so second round, Brownic, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I'm handing this one to you people. Is it a sea serpent, an aqua type, a dragon, or a fish? So, let's take a guess. Is it a sea serpent? Raise your hand. Is it an aqua type? Is it a dragon? Is it a fish? If you guessed fish, you probably guessed dinosaur on the last one, didn't you? If it's an aqua type, oh, you're close. It's a water attribute monster. And is it a dragon? No. It's a sea serpent. Bryonic dragon of the ice barrier. Sea serpent. It's not even close to the ocean. Alright, time for the anime round. This is a very tricky round. I want you to tell me what type it was. So, Ape Magician, was it a fairy? Was it a beast? Was it a beast warrior or was it a spellcaster? All in favor thinking it was a fairy. All in favor it was thinking a beast. All of you who think it's a beast warrior. All of you who think it's a spellcaster. Alright, so let's go through this. If you thought it was a fairy, you probably guessed fish and dinosaur, didn't you? You're not very good at this game. If you thought it was a beast warrior, it's not. But even though it was a soldier, that makes sense. For all of you who thought it was a spellcaster, wrong. If all of you who thought it was a beast, wrong. Because it's both a beast and a spellcaster type according to its effect. You should have known better. So anyone who got 3 points wins. Everybody loses. That's why you're here. So, how does this panel work? Well, that's really a tricky question. Well, it's kind of like recitation class for Yu-Gi-Oh! Before finals week. Your professor makes no sense, you wait till someone a little closer to your age can actually explain something about it. So what can we talk about in this panel? Well, we can talk about anything Yu-Gi-Oh! Related. That isn't about fanfiction. Or hentai. Or anything that was supposed to be covered in the Enter the Shadow Realm panel last night. So, let's talk about that. I can't just leave it like that. That's just the title. I want something that encompasses everything about this show. Something with passion. Something with feeling. There we go. So, With that, I open the floor to anybody asking questions about the show, anything they want me to talk about, or anything they really want to discuss. Feel free to raise your hands. I'll try to go around the room and try not to pick on one person the whole time to answer any questions. So, who wants to start? Ask a question about the show. Yes.
Not show personally, but games.
Sure.
Personally, about this last night, the most hated and most destruction.
You're really going to start off with Reach Up with Destruction?
Yes, I am.
Okay, for everybody who doesn't know, Reach Up with Destruction was this GBA game that it allowed you to build decks on a point-buy system because at some level you just don't know how to use Kingdom Hearts. Here's how you use every card ever. Take card, apply card to field, read card, do effect. That's it. Apparently we need training for it in this world, and so we need to learn that. But one of the cards that cost nothing were the God card. They were unbeatable, and every single time I won with them, I would do so well. Until the plot turned them into stone. I thought I did something wrong. I restarted the whole game, and I found out, no, it's a plot point. Well, I give up on this game. Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh! Not gonna play that way. Not fair. Oh, by the way, Pegasus is back from the dead and had amnesia, so therefore he's trying to destroy the world. What is this plot even? Really? This is Yu-Gi-Oh! The plot's not hard. There's a tournament. I should win. Okay. And you screwed it up. Way to go, guys. Alright, who else has things they want to talk about? Yes, you, sir.
Most dickish, overused, most powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And boys?
Nothing says unfair and broken like Pot of Greed. What deck do you play where you say, you know what, I really hate right now? 2 free cards. I don't want my deck to get thinner, I don't want to draw, and the fact that I can play it on turn 1 is just awful. I never want to play it. Like, seriously, I had somebody ask me, it's like, hey, I wonder when they're going to bring Pot of Greed back. Here's a, it's never. Yes.
How do like Harpy Ladies 1, 2, and 3 and Great Harpy Lady work? Can you have like 3 of each in your deck? Or can
Oh, that's a good question. Because the text on it specifically says this card is treated as Harpy Lady, that means it applies to the rule that you can only have 3 cards of the same name in your deck. So the idea behind it would be that you could have Harpy Lady 1, 2, and 3, but you can't have like Cyber Harpy or Harpy Lady on top of it, which makes the original Harpy Lady kinda janked out, unless you really, really need normal monsters. So yay, obscure rules in card games. That sounds fun to talk about for an hour. Anyone else? Yes, you sir.
worst card?
Well, I would say Shape Snack, but it's got a hat, and it's pretty darn cool. I'm gonna guess the any of those cards that require 3 tributes that say this card cannot be used in a duel, and that if you attack directly, you win. It's like 1, you have to win in a match. 2, you have to sacrifice 3 of them. 3, you have to get it in a certain tournament. 4, you can't even use it. That's a waste of paper. Thanks, guys. I just won a whole tournament, did so well, and now you get a card that literally says you can't use this. Yes?
Do you think the abridged series changed what it was like to be a Yu-Gi-Oh fan?
I can tell you right now, I would not actually be standing up here if it wasn't for them. About the same time that Little Karibo started to put out the abridged movie, I had started to hear about it, and I was saying, you know what, I'm really tired of this game, I'm not really getting anywhere with it, I'm not talking to a lot of my friends about it. I think I'm just going to sell a whole bunch of my cards, and oh look, there's something about Little Karibo, this is amusing. And then my friend goes, oh hey, I remember that, do you want to get your cards tomorrow? Yes, and now I'm here! So a lot of it, yeah, it's just that he does know legitimate writing. He doesn't just always do riff. He actually has to think about how he does this. He's been getting a lot better at the quality of his work, which is why when people ask him when's the next one, he just rolls his eyes and goes, there's no way I can tell you. So, but yeah, it really did change the fandom a lot because not only did people start to watch the show because it was humorous, but also because they reminded their childhood, like, hey, maybe this show is really good. And some people started to like it. Some people, I know, if you guys know Spoony from formerly on the Spoony Experiment or that guy with the glasses, he's not a guy who really likes Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, but he freaking loves every series. And so getting something to bridge the gap like that, I think is really, really handy. So I really do think we contribute a lot to Little Creepo for that fandom that we have today. Yes, sir.
Triple Solar Flare Dragon.
I'm sorry, what?
Triple Solar Flare Dragon.
I hate you. Okay, here's what Solar Flare Dragon says. Hi, I'm Solar Flare Dragon. Every single turn, you're gonna take damage. If there's another fire-type monster on the field, you can't attack me. Well, what happens when you have 3 of them? They all say, you can only attack another fire monster. Then you go to that fire monster, and then it says you can only attack this one. And then this one. It creates a lock, and then it's burning me to death. And why aren't I drawing black holes? Why can I not draw a dark hole to destroy all of them? Yes?
Triple Mon.
Man, get you. Come on, really? We're going to have that card out 3 times? That's strictly unnecessary. Yes?
Bad reaction to Samachi and gift card.
That's a hilarious deck. What it is that there are a whole bunch of cards that say, like, destroy an opponent's monster. They gain 1,000 life points. Like, okay, this balances out. They gain life, they lose a monster. But then there's a little card called Bad Reaction to Samachi. What does that do? Anytime they would gain life points, they lose that much instead. So it's kill that monster and lose 1,000 life.
Upstart power.
Yeah, that too.
That's what I use online.
Yes? I'm sorry, what? What about it? I'm going to be completely honest, I honestly don't know a lot about Zaxel. The real reason was, I gave it the exact same chance I did 5Ds. It didn't really hook me on the first 2 episodes, so I haven't been watching a lot of it, truth be told. So, I have no opinion, I guess. I'm really sorry. I don't want to be unfair to it and say, like, it's really horrible or it's the best thing ever, because then I would be lying either way. Yes?
Iron Chain Decks.
Oh, goodness. Seriously, we're going to talk about the card game and boring all the people who don't know that much about Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, fine. So yeah, Iron Chain Decks. Oh, look at this. I can mill you, and you can take damage and all this, and oh my gosh, there's an Iron Fist card walking in. Not to make yourself famous or anything. Anyone named Steve, you might want to leave now. But yeah, Iron Chain decks have been a little bit of fun. I haven't gotten a lot of use out of them yet, but I'm interested to see if they'll ever come back as something fun to do. Anyone else have? Yes?
The god card Obelisk, the Tormentor, can you destroy it with Mirror Force?
Does it target? Or, okay, specifically, I don't remember if it says if Obelisk is completely immune to traps.
No, it's if this card is specifically designated as a target for a trap card.
It doesn't target because it says destroy all monsters on the field. Now, if it was like Magic Cylinder, that wouldn't work because it does specifically target the monster.
There. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes?
Spotting Bootlegs.
I would recommend it because Fortune's is terrible. I mean, a lot of time, double check on the back of the box, see if it has a little 4Kids logo on it. That's going to be the biggest hint. And if it's spelled like a whole bunch of English on it and it has horrible translations and starts to talk about like Spider-Man's backstory instead of Yu-Gi-Oh, that's kind of a hint. Beyond that, just look at like what Amazon sells. Double check like what their merchandise looks like and get familiar with what that does, and that'll help you spot any of the bootlegs really. Alright.
Why do I have such gender issues?
You see, that's an easy thing to answer, because your dad abused you, your mom was dead, the only woman in your life was a sister, you were completely closeted as a child, and you were chasing after a man in leather pants your entire life. Do you want me to go on? Or do we need to talk about the thing you're holding in your hand? Oh yeah, and let's not forget your buddy time with Bakura. He's in your thoughts while he's talking about his evil plans, but he's still in your thoughts. I still don't know why they never called it the Millennium Shank. I mean, basically that's what it is. It's not a rod, it's a shank. He pulls out and goes, well, it's stabbing time. Who else has questions or ideas? You, sir.
What's your favorite deck type?
My favorite deck type is actually Reversal Quiz. For all of you who don't know how that works, it's very simple to explain. I don't use monsters. I have 39 spells and 1 trap. What I do is that I activate Wall of Revealing Light, pay all my life points out to like itty bitty bit. Then I set 2 cards that when they're sent to the graveyard, they deal damage. Reversal Quiz. I discard my entire hand. I send all cards from my side of the field to the graveyard. I have to guess what the top card of my deck is. Is it a spell? Is it a trap? Or is it a monster? Let's review. No monsters. 1 trap. Already used. It's a spell. So that's why it's called quiz cheating. I already know the answer. The answer is spell. Oh, look at that. I have a top card and it's a spell card. Now we exchange life points. Now you're at itty bitty bit. Now you're at 1,000. Oh, by the way, take 700 and 500 damage, you lose. By the way, nice counter traps and nice battle tech that you provided. That was really handy for the fight with no monsters. Yes?
The wall of revealing light self-destruct.
Man, I hate you. If you want to be worse than that, what you do is you play the exact combo I say, except you play self-destruct button, which basically sets both players' life points to 0, so it's a draw. So if you keep going through the tournament, it's a draw, and a draw, and a draw, until somebody wins! Yes?
Okay, so I haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. Like I had like some of the original cards. So
Okay.
I'm trying to play with like no invisible. What should I learn about? Like know about these new decks?
A lot of the things about the newer decks is know what you need to put into your extra deck, or what used to be called the fusion deck. A lot of decks now revolve around the idea that you have to have a good set of cards for that. And what I would say is double check the Wikia, which I know sounds like cheating for me to say, oh, just read the Wikia, you'll learn everything. It's like, no. They actually write really good articles there about certain deck types, and find ones that you like and stick with it. Don't go with the one that's like, well, this is the one that's top tier, I want to go build that every single day, because in about 6 months it's going to completely change. So find one that you're comfortable with and go with that. I recommend skill drain decks. They're really, really fun and they're consistent in the meta. If you find something that you like there, definitely go with it. Or if not, prove me wrong, find a deck you like, or build a new one. Heck, all the best times that a new deck has come out, that's what wins the tournament, not the average meta one. Or do we need to remind everybody about Synchro Cat? Yeah, you guys remember. Yes? Oh, yeah, you can use your old cards as long as like they don't legitimately say this card cannot be used in a duel. But double check the ban list as well. If you're going to be playing the advanced format. So if you're playing at home, you can play like anything you want, but if you're going to tournaments, double check with the ban list about what the deck building rules are, and that's basically all the limitations you have. Yes?
Are there any banned cards that you think that should be unbanned?
Cyberstein.
No. I really, really miss Dracula, but on the same time, I'm glad it's gone. Sangan was like watching my best friend slowly die in front of me. I knew it was going to happen in a way. I'm kind of relieved that it's gone, but I still feel sad. What I don't understand is why one day a piece dropped down all the way to 1. That annoys me. I believe you had your hand up, sir? No, him. Did you have your hand up, sir? Yeah.
Yes, you. I already said what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. So, you, sir.
Do you know a lot about negotiations?
Well, I know that they're based off royalty, they're based off of suites, and that they never go to the graveyard ever.
What do you think about using $3 with effective on communication, especially something $3?
In a word, hate. And in another word, love. It's a very strange relationship. It's always, whenever I talk about a card, if I like it or not, is love, hate. If it's against me, I hate it. If it's with me, I love it. It's just that binary. Yes.
Non-traditional Yu-Gi-Oh!
I miss Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Yes.
Dungeon Dice Monsters, if you didn't know, was basically this weird dice game that Kazuki Takahashi really poured his heart out into, and it died in like 2 or 3 sets. And it just didn't sell well, so they stopped making it, but it was legitimately a really, really fun game. Yes? That's okay. Anyone else have ideas? Yes. Okay, one, the Duelist Kingdom rules was basically, okay, what can we write today to make it convenient? Let's see, Catapult Turtle. This card may send cards into other cards where here and by means destroy and all this. Do you know the rule text that they have to do for a couple of those to try to adjust it? It's this long.
Okay, here's pretty much the
Well, also it's like, my monsters are flying types, so they have an advantage against monsters of other ones with wings, but they can't attack even though they just fly up in the air. And so 1,000-Year Dragon can attack it even though its wings are unusable. Well, how did this game even work anymore?
It was essentially, I want your monster dead, so now I'm going to make some random excuse to kill it.
Yeah, it's like, who could be a better storyteller, and that's who wins. And Yami just knows a lot of stories. Yes? Yes?
I haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh! In like a year. I'm really sad. But in GX, does Yami come back?
Do you want me to spoil it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yami does come back in the final episode.
final action.
Well, yeah, okay, the actually final episode, the actual ones that by forfeit, I don't go by forfeit rules.
Yes.
I don't roll like that. Yes? Yeah, he does show up in the first episode, but he does return also at the very end as well. Yes? Do I think tribute summoning is obsolete? Not exactly. If you have a whole bunch of decks, I remember a whole bunch of them like the Frog Monarchs that were still really good. If you had a whole bunch of ones that say you cannot special summon or you have some special summon limit, Jogan decks got really, really good because of that. So I think there is a possibility for tribute summoning to be out there, but since there's a lot more special summon heavy abilities, we're going to be relying a lot more on that. Yes?
Who won, Jaden or Yugi?
Here's the funny thing that everybody asks about that question. Everybody asks, like, who wins that one? It's like, that's not the point. The point of it was that that entire duel was trying to show to Jaden that the game was not just something to be won or to be better at. It was something that he had lost at the very beginning of this. He was very passionate. He enjoyed duels even when he was losing. Actually, especially when he was losing, because he thought that way it would be able to turn around. And that was something he really lost at the very end of the series. And so when he gains that back, he realizes it doesn't matter if I win or lose. Now, it's hinted it could go either way because Jaden still has the card face down, and it could have been something that completely destroyed Slifer. We don't know. But it's left ambiguous because the point is it doesn't matter. The idea was the fact that Jaden had finally got that piece of himself that he had lost at first, and he could finally go on from there. Yes? You gotta speak up a little louder.
Your opinion on cards like Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon?
I love their name. I mean, seriously, who doesn't like the ability to say, I summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon? It sounds better than I summon Madolce Kitty. Which is why I love skill drain decks, because all my cards sound amazing. I summon Malefic Stardust Dragon, Beast King Barbaros, Gravekeeper's Commandant. Which I use all of those, they're wonderful cards. Yes?
Why do they ban cards like Grace and Charity, Concrete, and allow Black Holes and Souls and One Way from Phoenix?
See, Encore in the beginning is just really confusing about why they brought it back. Because it's like, wow, this is incredibly popular. To the point where GX said, hey, this card is banned. We shouldn't use this card. When the anime admits a card is broken, it really is. Listen, Konami, listen, come on. But the real reason was that everybody was starting to use it, and they're trying to inspire creativity and making sure that it's not always the same deck over and over and over. And in some cases, they want to break loops. Like, a fun one is Imperial Iron Wall, cards cannot be banished. Cool Bolt Hedgehog. Whenever there's a synchro monster on the field, you can special summon this from the graveyard. Cannon Soldier. Sacrifice a monster, deal 400 damage. Or Mass Striker, which did the exact same thing. So you say, I sacrifice this. It goes to the graveyard because it can't be banished. Oh look, there's a synchro monster. I put it back, and then sack it. And so basically, you're playing racquetball with a giant Quillbolt and you're beating them to death. It's not fun. Because you paid good money and now you're being beat out by a hedgehog. Suddenly I start to know how Robotnik feels. It was not cool. Because I just hear boing, 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 boing. Yes?
Who you like better, Bakura or American? Why?
I'm going to say Merrick for a couple of reasons. One, Bakura, you took your sweet time. Come on. Act on it. Yes, now I'm going to imbue a piece of my soul into this item, and in about 300 episodes, I will finally enact a plan. At least Merrick had the gall to say, "Hi, are you an Egyptian pharaoh? Well, I really hate you, and I'm going to send you to go kill you. And by the time that I'm not able to, I'm going to come over myself. By the way, I tricked you thinking that I'm your friend, and I can stab people, and I'm really, really sexy without my shirt off." But here's the thing. I'm also going to use this because I have found a formula for finding out how evil anyone is in Yu-Gi-Oh! It is proportionate to the amount they are dead. You think I'm kidding? Let's speculate on this. Pegasus! Pegasus is kind of fancy, but we find out he has a wife, and he's actually a good friend, and he's not really a villain. So he's a mid-range. Then we have Bakura, who's hanging out with Merrick a lot, kind of questionable, and is really, really lonely, but he takes forever, and he doesn't exactly have too much success with the Pharaoh, just with power. Then remember all those things I mentioned about your identity problem, the fact that you had a sister, if you have a bald guy with a leather coat hanging around you all the time, chasing a guy in leather pants, really, do I have to drive this home? And then I said, well, what about the inverse? How can I prove that a really bad villain is straight? Well, anybody remember Siegfried? Siegfried, if you don't remember, and I'm glad if you don't, was a guy with pink hair, summons women to attack for him as the Valkyries, and he has a house lined with 100 female servants going, "Good luck, master, come down with the tournament." Thank you, ladies, I will make sure to do completely well. He gets whooped by Kaiba, and he says, "Get the hell out of my tournament." That's not made up. He says that verbatim. He says, "Get the hell out of my tournament." And so his younger brother fights, which was his plan the whole time. You don't even fight Yugi. That's kind of like saying Frieza's a great Dragon Ball Z character because he sent the Ginyu Force. It doesn't work that way. Who's the most evil character? Kiryu Kyusuke. Oh my god. Okay, so here's the thing about 5Ds. I imagine the writing session went like this. "Hey guys, how's it going?" "No, pretty good. 5Ds is going along really, really well." "Okay, how are the relationships actually going?" "Good. We got 2 really, really good couples." Like, okay, so what are the couples' names? "Well, we got Aki and Yuze, and we got Carly and Jack." Dude, there's a problem with that. Why? Because that's 2 heterosexual couples. Oh gosh, we forgot something. We forgot the gay couples. Okay, we got a new character. Okay, he's the leader of a gang. He wears a leather vest. They have fur trim on them, and they use handcuffs against guys with no women around. And they say that I couldn't live without you. And then they go to the Wild West. There's a mountain involved, and they said I don't know how to quit you. You're the only one who knows how to satisfy me. And when he dies, there's a rainbow in the back, a spectrum of colors, unlike any other character that died. Tell me that does not spell homosexual somewhere. Or at least implies it. Really? We need to name it Satisfaction Town at the end? It doesn't help that we had a building called the Classy Ass in the background. I'm not kidding. There was a building in the back that I thought it said Classy Glass. It's like, no, there's no way it said that. Then I saw it a little bit closer. Like, there's no way. There's a picture, which I have on my computer, and I wish I could show you. Gun duel disc, because you draw the gun, put it on your arm, and now you have a gun duel disc, and you decide who goes first that way. So he's drawing a card, and in a fourth of the screen, the Classy Ass. In plain, bold, capital letters English. I thought that was them giving the biggest middle finger to the poor kids. It's like, yeah, translate that. Who has other questions? What is bad against photons? A lot of the older decks, I would say. Anything like, if it's not used to the idea of being swarmed, or if it's something that can be outswarmed, any of the low-level monster decks, I don't know how well Ojamas might do, because since photons have high defense along with their offense, they might not do as well. It really, every deck depends on what they face on a case-by-case basis. You can try to protect against some ideas, but then there are going to be times where just plain luck is going to hurt you. I'm going to take off my coat. Yes? Ojama deck what?
Lockdowns.
Man, I hate you guys. You just come up with the worst, best ideas. Ojamas, if you don't know, are these little guys in thongs. Which, if you look on YouTube, there's a case where one of my friends dressed up as an Ojama. It was Ojama Black. He's an African-American guy who had black face paint on, blacked out his whole chest, and was wearing this red thong. And if I hadn't been most scared in my life, I would be lying. It's like, I have a guy who is half naked and crazed at me, who looks like Venom is attacking his face. And you should have heard him trying to pull that thing off of his chest. The worst part is it dripped down into the red area. So that was unpleasant to hear from the bathroom. Who else has ideas or questions or anything about it? You, sir.
Voice is Jaden's head.
Voices in whose head?
Voice is Jaden's head. He has.
Yeah, Jaden actually has the weirdest ability. He can actually talk to the dual spirits, which is actually kind of cool. But how he understands it is like he's sleeping and then Karibo goes, "What's that, Karibo? There's someone outside my window and they need my help." You're right, I should use the elemental hero deck today. I wasn't going to use anything else anyways. No, there is one episode where he's losing when Karibo goes over and goes, waves his hand over the card and says, "Wow, thanks Karibo, you just made the exact card to win this game. Thanks Karibo, you helped me cheat." He pulls out a Philosopher's Stone. No, I'm not kidding, the card was called Sabatel, the Philosopher's Stone. So, how did he do better than Full Metal Alchemist? Because that was like episode 20-ish? So, he can get a Philosopher's Stone faster than Edward and Alphonse, and he wasn't trying. Apparently, Wing Kariba just knows that you just transmute human souls like that, and suddenly you're helping out a small child win a game. Yes, you, sir.
Why is Kaiba, a billionaire genius industrialist, so obsessed with a children's card game?
Because I can. Screw you. I have money. Now, here's my question. How does he go, well, let's see. I'm an arms dealing, have the ability to kill 93% of the world's population. That's cited from the show, may I point out. And he goes, you know what? It's just not lucrative enough. I gotta go into card games. And he was right. He was so right. His stocks are at $1.3 billion for my calculations. Liquid assets, 1.5 trillion. You know, something about the equivalent of the national deficit. He could say, I'm going into poverty, and then we would be at zero. we wouldn't owe anyone anything. That's the mind-blowing part. But coats don't buy themselves. I actually really dig the idea for elemental heroes that you have basically superheroes who have one element ability, and then you can combine them into multiple different types. Kind of reminds me of like Kamen Rider W, where it's like I can stick two things together and make them interesting. This is gonna sell so many cards. You don't even have to come with an idea for a new card. So, well, we don't know what to do next. Have we put these two together? Not yet. Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Now, come in the manga, I noticed the players like to cheat in the manga.
How come we notice we like to cheat? Well, when you notice that Yami and Bakura and Merrick have a little bit more violent tendencies, wouldn't you want to cheat for your life? Like literally cheat death sometimes? Yes, like I said, Millennium Shank. Hold on, your shank arm's getting a little twitchy, so I'm gonna step back a tiny bit and change my name from Steve. Alright, yes sir. Oh goodness, season 0. Yeah, it is really good, but it gets creepy at times. Because remember that time that Taya got taken out by chloroform by that one guy who was going to do horrible things to her? Yeah, that was an episode. And it's not even subtle because the game revolves around the use of chloroform. Nice. Also, Joey is handing out 18 plus tapes to Joey, to Yugi, and going, hey, take a look at these. I got really interested in them. It's like, okay, maybe I'll go see him tomorrow. Thanks, Yugi. That's the last thing I wanted to think about you doing. Is going and playing solitaire. Yes.
Mokuba Season 0 with his kindergartners of firearms and his douchey robe.
Oh my goodness. Okay. If you thought Mokuba was pathetic in the original Duel Monsters, you're right. But in Season 0, he's actually really good at his own game. In fact, he says, oh, by the way, here's a giant wad of money, so instead of getting a random chance to try to pull out a good capsule, I'm just going to take the whole machine. And he does. And he still listens to you because he figures out a very obscure way to win. It's like you would think these guys who know how to play chess well would have found that out. But you never know. Yes, sir. That's a state-based effect, so it does not say when this card is specifically targeted to be destroyed and if this card will be destroyed. Because it's stated in the rules that you can only have one at a time, it will be removed. Or at least it should be. I mean, I had to double check the exact wording of that. And thanks, guys. We actually did release the Ori Calc as the most shenanigans card ever. It's a good thing it doesn't say you win your opponent's soul when you lose. It's like, Konami's just gonna get lawsuits, and it's just not gonna work well. Yes, sir.
Why does it always have to be a game with Kaidos?
Why does it always have to be a game with what?
There's so much, the Kaidos, they have so much money to build anybody they want at any point, and they have to make it a game.
Okay, let me put it this way. If someone came along and punched you in the face, and you're rich, you want a public execution. You want to humiliate him. You don't want to just kill him outright, because then you have to live with the fact that he got to hate you and you never got to hit back. So the Kaiba is just always trying to get that 1 ounce of revenge he wanted. Even when he gets it, then he says he doesn't want it. It's like, you won, you used Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, okay, fine, whatever, fine, we're on a 0 basis with you. Kakashi.
What's your opinion on the gladiator beasts and their effects?
Gladiator beasts were unique. They had the ability to basically just tag out, and whenever they come back, it's like, well, my entire hand is my deck. That's a fun concept. Isn't that called cheating? Nope, it's legal, it's on the card.
I
Yes.
was thinking super common.
Good heavens, I hope not. I really hope they don't make the legendary dragons, because then they have to come out with all the fusion cards for it, and then all the virus dragons come out, and the holy dragon barriers come out. It's just I don't want those to come out, because then they're one, going to ruin the effects, two, they're going to drive up the price, and three, I'm going to want all of them. I believe you have your hand up, you say? Aporia is this big, muscular guy with claws, and he has card games that are basically the size of this. This is an average-sized trading card in his hand, and he still fuses himself into a motorcycle to try to fight somebody. I call that respectable. Because not only are you just physically brawny enough, you just know that you're better at something. That's kind of like punching a 5-year-old in the face, then drawing a better picture than them. That's just like higher levels of wow. That's just plain cruel.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think Kaiba was able to fuse Fang of Critias with his Pirate Wing trap card and Blue Eyes?
He really hates to lose. A lot. But by some part of him, he does have to believe there is some mystical element because he can't deny what he sees and just slowly starts to begin and accept a little bit of it every single time. It's not a very binary switch progression. It's actually very, very gradual, which is something I appreciate. Yes, sir.
So, how do you feel about the elongated gameplay changes throughout the game itself? As in, when it first came out, it was the duel would take some time to play. Now it's who can win in the first to second turn.
Well, the game has been suffering from a little thing called power creep. In any game design, even for MMOs and that, you want to design something that's better because you don't want to design and say, hey, buy our new card set. They're going to have the crap beaten out of them. You want something that says, hey, look, you got something new, something more powerful. And the fact that they print more cards means that they get to pick the top 1%, and everything else falls to the bottom, and then you try to do better than that. It's something that the game has really, really suffered from, and I'm pretty sure the R&D department is the tournament. I'm pretty sure they don't pay test any of those cards. Yes, sir.
What's your opinion on Monster World, the first manga series, in the miniatures and everything?
I'm sorry, Monster World? Oh, Millennium World?
Well, it was the tabletop RPG.
Oh, like chapter 5 of the actual Yu-Gi-Oh manga.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Okay, believe it or not, Yu-Gi hacked D&D. I'm not kidding. Because they roll percentile dice, which means you roll 2 10-sided dice, and whatever you roll on your side is what you get. So,
bumps the table.
well, no, he doesn't bump the table. He spins it, so the top results of the dice are the ones that are going to land on top, so instead of 100%, it's a 50-50 shot. Wow. You hacked physics, you hacked D&D, I applaud you, I hate you. I will make sure if any of my players ever do that in a D&D game, I will penalize them. Yeah, Blue Lightning. Yes, you, sir.
I just wanted to kind of go with there is a power creep within the Yu-Gi-Oh game, yes. However, it simply is the way it works is the legend, let's look at the world of last year, last year, but just a bit ago, and with the 2 deck dragons, the both of them play so well against each other that even though you just put out both of them put out 3 deals, both of them had a full hand, they're still going back and forth and exchanging with each other. And it's not just I do everything and I win now. It actually is still good balanced battles and actual fights and actual play.
Right. And a lot of the times when you see 1-turn kills, they're not consistent. So I can completely understand. Is there anyone who hasn't asked a question that has a question or an idea or a topic or a compliment? Anyone who has already asked a question or anything, they want to raise their hand now. Yes, sir.
What do you think of the Synchron monsters?
I love Synchro Monsters. It was actually a really good idea to bring something into the fold where it's you take something new, you can use all the old cards that you had in the past, and you can still use them. And then you can combine them together, and they made something holistically better. It was something that we had never seen, that we're using the extra deck for more than just fusions. Because back in the very, very early days, it's like, hey, I have a fusion deck of 15 monsters. It's like, why? Do you have polymerization in that deck? Okay, then you just told me like what half of your deck is. Congratulations. Now, if you go to a tournament and they have 15 cards in their extra deck, you go, oh, it's a normal standard deck. If they don't have anything, you go, what are you doing? Yes, sir.
What's the point of having like the Brotherhood of the Fire just guys?
They're the constellations made of fire and animals. So you tell me, if you like the idea of giant flaming animals and people who use them to punch people, I think we've just made a Captain Falcon deck. And I'm okay with that. Yes?
I have a question.
We can ask one at a time.
How did you feel when Yanni used orichalcos, and what do you think?
In order, when I thought Yugi used the orichalcos, my thought was, so you made a whole duel based on the promise that you would never, on your grandfather's grave, you would never duel again. Why? There was nothing stopping you, but he would be stopped calling the king of games. Okay, is that important to him? I guess if some random bad guy takes the title from him, that just insults him enough that he needs to do this, and so it was kind of a way to make sure that it was Yami's perspective more than Yugi's, and it's not both of them. There was a separation, that this really was Yami's arc. For capsule monsters, man, I never thought I would like seeing Pokemon / Digimon with Yu-Gi-Oh! But by the fact that Yami gets Dark Magician armor, I'm not even kidding, it was kind of awesome. It's like, hi, I have armor made of dragons. I'm going to win now. Okay, you win. Yes, sir. It just specifically says any monster that is the potential summon is destroyed. If the card says it can't be destroyed, then it is targeted. Not destroyed, it's still there. If it says it's completely unaffected, then you don't even care about it. If it doesn't have anything like that, it's destroyed. Most of it just boils down to read the card. But yeah, that's a legitimate question, and I think it would really just stay on the field. Again, I'd have to read both of the cards to be absolutely sure for you. Yes? You mean a Joey Wheeler deck? An entire deck based around cans. Yay, that's gonna be consistent. Kind of trollsy if you ask me. Yeah, it is literally a gamble at that point then. Cute. What do I think of what? Oh, Zone. Zone was a really, really cool villain. He used God. I'm not even kidding, he used the angel that is the representation of God. And he used angels as his ultimate monsters that were machine future angels. They are called the temporal machine angels. That means they're basically Doctor Who villains. This is really cool. We're on motorcycles in space and we're fighting against the future. I love this show. Yes, sir.
I'm curious, when new artists and writers took over the manga, how much influence does Namco have over what they write?
How much does who have?
The game company. Would they just send them a bunch of mangas and say, hey, put this in the manga somehow?
A lot of the time, they're basing the idea off of whatever deck they're using. If they find one that they really like, then they just go with it. Usually they don't specifically say they have to include one of the monsters unless the writers dictate it. Beyond that, again, it's almost always writer discretion. And I don't think there's ever been like a real time where they said you can't use this card. But again, it's been a while since I've had to look into that. Yes, sir.
Why do you think it took them so long to make actual playable God?
Do you want gods to wreak havoc? I mean, every single time they play a god card, it makes a 500-foot illusion. Do you really want to talk to air traffic about that? Thank you, passengers, for going flight 177. As you can see on our right. Holy crap! It's a giant sun! We're gonna die! Oh, they're playing a card. Which has to get to the idea they can project those images into space. They project, in GX they have satellite cannon, where they put a satellite up in space. They have a television showing, oh look, there's a satellite in space. How do you think NASA feels about this? That's Corpus X09er. We have a, it looks like a level 5 monster out over here. Permission to ignore any possible attack. Permission denied, it could be the Russians. Basically, collector's edition, and they wanted more money. Not necessarily in that order. Yes. You mean green hair Seto the second? Because remember, in season 0, but has green hair. He wasn't exactly my favorite villain. He just seemed really, really petulant, and basically the whole reason that arc was invented was that Kazuki Takahashi said, yeah, I'm still busy writing everything. Can you just slow down on the process? That'd be nice. Yes? You know what? I am sad Future Fusion is gone, but I'm glad those dragons are gone. I mean, it's like being an ant in Attack on Titan. There's no hope. It was literally called Hopeless Dragons for a while, for that exact reason. It's like, well, I just special summoned 5 dragons, what are you gonna do? Cry and scoop. Kakashi, I believe you got your hand raised?
Yeah, I think it was that 10th anniversary edition. What do you think about the new design for some of the old cards, like Dark Edition?
I actually really like the new designs that Kazuki Takahashi did for them, because Red Eye's Darkness Metal of Red Eye's Dragon just went from, oh look, I'm a little dragon, to I'm a fierce looking dragon, to I'm a dragon on a volcano erupting and I'm still alive. I think that's impressive. Yes, sir.
When playing card games, I play Magic the Gathering as well as Yu-Gi-Oh, and I wanted to ask you this question.
Okay.
In Magic the Gathering, there's a card about, it's called Platinum Angel.
Yes, I know.
That literally says,
You cannot lose the game, your opponents cannot win the game.
is there anything completely ridiculous like that in Yu-Gi-Oh? Because if there is, I haven't found it and I want it.
I don't know any card that specifically says your opponents cannot win, because good luck trying to sell that pitch to Konami. Yes, we have a card that can immediately throw the entire tournament into chaos and will cause thousands of dollars in loss. You were hungover when you came to work today. Yeah, sorry, boss. You. I love Bonds Beyond Time. If you don't know what that is, they go through time travel, 5Ds, main character Yusei, GX main character Jaden, and Yai Yugi get together and have a duel against the future. And it's canon. And it's amazing. Everybody should go watch it, if not for the reason that Dan Green's voice is in it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's why I started watching Yu-Gi-Oh! No homo. Victory Dragon is it's really, really hard to pull off, and the creator of Lightworks Hockey is really, really hard to pull off, but when you see the OTKO, it's hilarious. It's like, well, I just been summoned a creator god, I win. Can I respond? Nope. Thanks.
Victory Dragon, Ancient Rules.
Yeah.
I think you had your hand up, sir? Yes. Dark World decks I actually am kind of a fan of, but by the same time they're really, really simple and easy to use, and so I can understand why a lot of the time they're trying to break it down and try to make it not as usable just so people can get more creative and start to use more cards rather than just go with what archetype is good. Which does introduce the whole power creep issue, but you know what? I think it's fun, but I don't see it really winning a whole ton in the future, but I could easily be wrong. Do I prefer dub or sub? See, that's an unfair question because by the dub, I get to have the translations done faster. I get to hear the original voice, I get to hear the original soundtrack, I get the more mature story, I get all of that. But on the dub hand, I get Dan Green. And if not in life, is that not what we all want? Yes? It's just as good. I don't really have a preference one way or another. It's basically the exact same story. They have some really, really cheesy lines like, man, I've seen some big dragons, but that one takes the cake and probably ate it too. That's the exact line. You have to wonder, it's like, okay, how do we say, wow, that's a really big dragon in a longer overused sentence? I probably have time for one more question. I'll go with you, sir. You know, I'm really, really sad that 5Ds never made it to the to a box set because you know what? In a way, that show was really catered towards me because it was made for somebody who really, really was watching the show. It turned into this really deep political thing. It had romantic relationships. It was complicated. They had female duelists that I cared about. There are two women dueling. It's not about friendship, and I care. I thought that was impossible. And they proved me wrong. But moreover, the fact that that show has a really, really good ending, like it's conclusive. Everybody gets a send-off. And everybody feels like they move on from their lives and we don't feel like that there's any use in doing another episode. So that's something that I found really, really rare in anime and I'm really sad it's not a part of. So I highly recommend that if any of you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Go watch 5Ds. I love it to death. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have for Duelist Academy. Thank you so much for coming. And if you want to stop me and talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Feel free. Enjoy.